What do you do when you get those potatoes and they start growing eyes on them and they're about to go bad? What you need to do is change the state that your potatoes are in so that you don't waste any food. And that's what we're doing today. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Kim's Cozy Corner. I am working on potatoes again, as always. I am working on potatoes, changing the state of the potatoes. I have a ton of potatoes here. I just went downstairs and I checked my supply, and there are a ton of potatoes here that have eyes on them, and they're starting to come up, which means that they don't have that much life left before they go bad. So we are going to change the state of these potatoes. And you know what we're going to do? We're going to can the potatoes. The reason why I decided to do this task today is because, and this is too little, let's just cut it the old fashioned way, is because the weather outside, y'all, it's nasty. I feel like we went from no rain for 2 months to now it's going to rain for 2 months on us. It's just been gloomy and cold. And then we had a little snow yesterday, and then it all melted. And then by 3 o'clock, it was snowing again. And then I woke up this morning to a beautiful sight. So let me share with you how I woke up and how everything looked outside this morning, first thing, with that fresh layer of snow everywhere. So check out this video. First morning waking up to snow covered ground. Look at all my beds full of snow. Green stalk full of snow. Beans that I missed. First snow of the season. Brussels sprouts are still very happy, even though it snowed on them. Peach trees are on the side of the house. Now, by the end of today, all of this will be gone. It's one thing about the snow in southwest Ohio. Typically, it doesn't stay around very long. And I need it to leave because I got to get up more leaves yet. Here's the front. There's another green stalk full of snow. Okay. I wonder, is this a sign of the winter season we'll be having this year? Wasn't it beautiful? I mean, a beautiful day outside. Absolutely beautiful. This morning with the snow. I mean, it made it feel like, winter's here. It's not. Winter won't be here for another month, but it made it feel like winter. But because the weather is so bad outside right now, I mean, and it's not even that cold. I mean, the snow is already gone. All right, just to kind of give you an idea, it's already gone, and it's what 12. It's 12:30 in the afternoon. So the snow's already gone. That's just how it came and it went. But it's wet. It's gloomy, and I don't want to be out there. So we're gonna work on these potatoes. That gives me something to do and something that needs to get done. So I'm going to use my time wisely. I grew a lot of potatoes, and we all know I grew a lot of potatoes at this point in time. And everybody else said, what are you going to do with all those potatoes? I'm going to eat them. but I got to put them in a state so that they don't go bad on me, which means I'm going to need to can them. Now, I have canned potatoes in many different ways this year. I've canned breakfast potatoes. I've canned, what else? Herb potatoes, two different kinds of herb potatoes. And I think did I do rosemary? I don't know. It was an herb potato. Breakfast potatoes, herb potatoes. I did a potato in chicken broth, which was delicious, y'all. Ooh, wee, that was good. Ooh, that was so good. Anyway, and then I just did some just standard old potatoes, nothing special, just standard old potatoes. Um, by doing the just regular old potatoes, I can turn them into whatever I need to turn them into versus wanting them for a breakfast potato or part of some type of meal in a jar, that kind of deal. So these, I am going to just do plain old potatoes and water. No chicken broth, no beef broth, nothing special. We're just going to put them in water. But it gives me something to do as I contemplate the garden for next year. I will very soon do a video on how my potatoes did for the whole year. You know, which varieties did best, which ones am I going to continue to grow, which ones may I put on the shelf for a year and pull up something new maybe, right? So we're gonna see. We'll take a look at everything and how everything did, and then we'll make that decision because y'all, it is time. It is already time to order potatoes for next year, at least where I purchase my potatoes from. And I like to get my order in early so I can get the pick that I want. So I don't have to fight over varieties or anything like that. And where I order my potatoes, if you get your orders in early, even northern gardeners can get their potatoes. I get them last time, the end of March, I think is what it was. So you can get your potatoes earlier and you can get two crops in. So that's what I normally do. I usually put my potatoes in early in the spring. I'll get my first crop usually, let me think. I put my potatoes in the end of March, 1st of April, and then I usually have my first harvest coming in the 1st of June, and typically from June all the way up into July. And then, yes, I put a second planting in. So I'm harvesting potatoes early in the year and late in the year. And the ones that come in late in the year, those are the ones that kind of hold me over until the spring comes. And those are typically the ones that I'm going to use to start indoor potatoes. There is a method to my madness. And I gave a ton of potatoes away this year too. So I didn't keep everything. I did give quite a few away. And I believe I would have grown even more potatoes if I didn't grow quite as many fingerlings. So I grew a ton of fingerlings this year, and it's the first time I've ever done that. And for a fingerling, that was a lot of potatoes. But I prefer larger potatoes. If I'm going to use a growing space, I'm going to use it for a larger potato. I tried new varieties as well, so I'm super excited about that. I will have that video to you hopefully in the next week or so. So you can at least look at the varieties, how they did for me as you're thinking about your plan for next year's potatoes. So I am just going to keep working on these potatoes here. If I think of something earth shattering, I'll bring you back and we'll talk about it. But until then, I'm just going to start working on these potatoes and getting them taken care of. I always use my big potatoes first because I hate cutting up little bitty potatoes. But if I'm going to can my potatoes, I need to get the skin off of them. Um, I read that you should not can your potatoes with the skin on. So we're getting those off. And I'm trying to get my potatoes down to the same size roughly when I'm putting them in chunks here. And I'm also putting them in water. By putting them in the water, that keeps them from browning and turning all black and gray and, while I'm waiting to get them all cut up. We will be pressure canning the potatoes if you haven't seen any of my videos yet. So we will be pressure canning. Potatoes need to be pressure canned. I have several pressure canners. I have Instant Pot Max. I have a New Wave electric cooker that does pressure canning. And I also have a Presto digital canner. I have been canning a little differently this year than usually. Usually I'm doing huge batches and then I just can so many that I need multiple digital canners going at the same time. I don't know how big this batch is going to be, but I'm hoping I can get away with just the Presto digital canner today. We will see when we get all of these potatoes cut up. And this isn't all of them. I mean, they're just starting to get little eyes on them. So I still have several pounds, a lot of potatoes downstairs that we can use. And so I try to use fresh potatoes as long as I can so that they don't go bad. But if I'm in a hurry, y'all, I'm going to take a jar of potatoes. I had someone ask me, can you freeze potatoes? And the answer is yes, right? You can buy frozen potatoes from the grocery store, right? From the market. I've seen people, I mean, I've seen them in the grocery store. So obviously, yes, you can do that. If you want to freeze your potatoes, you need to parboil them first, right? You're going to have to boil them for a very short period of time. If you don't, they'll turn all black and they don't taste very good. But I prefer to can versus freeze. I feel like canning lasts longer. So I don't freeze potatoes, not intentionally anyway. I say that in jest because a few years ago, I bought a whole bunch of potatoes. Oh, they were on sale. This was before I was growing my own food. I mean, I was growing some, but not all of my own food. I went looking for the potatoes. I couldn't find those potatoes anywhere. My girls had helped me because they wanted to be my little helpers for the day. They put my potatoes, y'all. They put my potatoes in the freezer, in the bag, in the freezer. And it was probably 25 pounds of potatoes. So we had to find a way to save those potatoes. So I got them all out the freezer. I parboiled them and then I put them back in the freezer just so I wouldn't lose them. And I didn't lose them. So that's the good thing. That's the good thing. I didn't lose them. But you don't want to freeze potatoes without them being parboiled first. And I'm sure there are plenty of recipes out there if you Google it. I just don't do it. I can my potatoes. I think canning your potatoes, honestly, on the shelf, I've had them last for more than 2 or 3 years, honestly. And they probably will last longer than that. As long as you got a good seal on them and you truly cook them to temperature like you're supposed to ensure that there's no bacteria and that kind of stuff in there, right? Because you don't want to get sick. But I've had my canned food last for many, many years. Man, this is a hard potato. So this is the first year that I've ever grown masquerade. And so here's a picture of masquerade right here. And this potato is so dense. It is so hard to peel a masquerade and it's deep yellow in color. I mean, it's got an excellent taste, but it is so dense compared to a lot of the other potatoes that I have. I just found that interesting. Thought I would share. All right, let me get back to these potatoes. I'm going to turn the camera off and I'll bring you back when I'm ready to do something else. A lot of people will wash their potatoes before they start peeling them. That's a good idea, you know. That's a very good idea. I don't. I'm going to wash them really, really good before I do anything else to them, but I don't wash them before I start peeling. That's why my hands are all dark and dirty. That's why the water over here is all dirty. But we will get them washed up, I promise you, before we do any canning with them. You see how dirty that is because I didn't wash my potatoes? I don't know. I just feel like that's an extra step I don't need to do, especially since I'm going to give them a complete washing. I mean, a really, really good washing. beforehand. What was your favorite potato this year? I had several, but I'm just curious as to what your favorite potato was. I'll talk about mine in the very near future here, but of course, if you haven't heard, my absolute favorite potato is Purple Viking. It's a potato that holds up much better than other potatoes when you go to can them. That's why I like it. It's dense, but not as dense as that masquerade. It's not like that. That's just crazy dense. It's got an excellent flavor. I just love the color of it too. It's a beautiful potato. And the inside is so white. Gorgeous potato. All right, that's enough of me chit chatting. I will be back. I promise this time. I will be back when I am finished with these potatoes and we get ready to move to the next step. And then I'm also going to show you what I'm going to do with these potato peels. So I am finished washing all the potatoes. Y'all, this got to be close to, it's definitely more than 5 pounds, but I don't know, maybe close to 10. I don't know, maybe 8 pounds. A lot of potatoes, y'all, a lot of potatoes. Anyway, my jars are hot. I am in my Presto digital canner. It will hold 5 quart-size jars if it's regular mouth. And I think it's only 4 if it's wide mouth. And so I have regular mouth jars in here and it says that they are warm and it's ready for them to be filled. So that's what we're going to do now. I'm going to put in a teaspoon of sugar in each jar. And then I'm just going to put these in here. Okay, I had to stop, so I had to get some water boiling. So I'm going to just put my potatoes in here, and I'm using just hot, boiling hot water in these jars. And so I needed to get that started because I'm going to need it, and it's not going to be ready yet. So let's get the potatoes in here. Nice jar of potatoes. Let's get the next one going. And it says do one at a time, but I didn't get my water going, so we are going to just move ahead with this part of the process while my water is boiling. You don't want to leave your potatoes uncovered too long or they'll start browning and turning gray on you. So my water is going in the background as I'm filling these jars. These potatoes are going to cook in the pressure canner for 40 minutes. Hopefully they'll all fit in one go so I don't have to pull out a second canner. I'm putting 1 teaspoon of salt in each jar. I don't know. It's not looking good. Looks like I'm going to need more than 5 jars. Now you can improve this by using beef broth or chicken broth. I'm using water. These are going to be just basic old potatoes, kind you would buy in a can in the store. I don't know what the cans are made out of, but they have that canned taste. These won't have a canned taste. These are going to be delicious. I don't know. It might fit. We'll see. We're getting close. It still look like too much for that last jar, but we'll see. I got my water going in my coffee pot. I can put it on a setting that bypasses where you make coffee. So it comes straight from the tank, boiling into a container. So it's not going to taste like coffee. Oh, y'all, look at this. Am I going to get lucky? Man, I don't think so. I'm close. I'm not that close. Still got a handful over here. It's not enough to worry about starting another jar, though, so that won't happen. And look, that's all I have left. I came so close. So you definitely want to leave your headspace. So that's one thing you have to consider when you're doing your potatoes. I think it's an inch of headspace, I think. All right, I might pay for that, but I stuffed them in there. All right, let's pour our water in here. And we're going to have to make sure we get all of the air pockets out. Potatoes have lots of air pockets because they're so big and chunky. So I got to be careful and I got to get all the air pockets out. I see a pocket there. There are definitely pockets in here. You see those bubbles coming up? That's signs of air pockets. And so the potatoes are not going to fit once I get these air pockets out because I'm rearranging them. But anyway, we got to get the air pockets out. Wow, this one really went down. That water is way down here. When I filled it up, it was up here. It's way down here because of all those air pockets. Wide mouth jars absolutely does better, but I don't have hardly any left. They're all full. That's just how much food we've made this year. Or should I say canned this year. So our jars are warm, our water's warm. The potatoes aren't, but they'll be warm enough in just a moment. Now that my jars are full, we're gonna wipe our rims. I'm just wiping with water because there's only water and salt in my jars. We'll put our lids on. All right, they're in the canner, they're ready to go. They're gonna go for 40 minutes. First, we gotta get up to pressure. Once we get up to pressure, it's gonna stay at pressure for 10 minutes, and then I am going to add my regulator. So that's the next step for the potatoes. But let me share with you what I'm going to do with my peelings off of my potatoes. Here are all of those potato peelings, and that's a lot of potato peelings. And this is my Vego Garden composter. This is my kitchen composter. I already have it running on Vego mode. I am going to add these potato peels. Now, you don't want to overfill your composter, which I have done before because I was lazy and I didn't want to empty and start over. But there is a line in here that you don't want to fill beyond. So I have coffee filters and coffee in here. I think there's some ramen in here. And what else is in here? Let me find my line. I'm going to go ahead and add today's coffee filter as well. And I have very little water in here, so I'm going to add a 1/4 cup of water. I'm sorry, that's a 1/3 cup. And we're going to start it back up. Since it was already running, it should remember. All right, I'll have to start it over because I hit a button and I didn't mean to. But that's okay. We're going to turn it back on. And we're going to put it on Vego mode. Vego mode can run up to like a week. And it's only been running for a couple of days. So in here, I have coffee grinds, coffee filters, and now I also have potato peelings. And I guess I can at least show you what it looks like if I don't forget. It'll probably won't be finished until sometime tomorrow. But for now, we're going to wait on those potatoes to get done, and I'm going to show you the final product. All right, y'all, the potatoes are done. I didn't have any siphoning off of the potato, the water out of the potatoes, so I had them just perfect. The water is completely covering all of the potatoes. I'm going to bring you in close so you can see how the potatoes are doing holistically. And y'all, that's about it. Let me show you. So look at those potatoes. I had quite a few golden potatoes in there and they look good. The shapes are still nice on those. These are already starting to cool, so the water is thickening up with some of the residue of the potatoes, but these are perfect. One of the other things that I said I would share with you today is how the kitchen composter is doing with all of those potato peels. It's not done, but let me show you how it's doing. I turned the light on so you can kind of see inside on how it's doing. It's drying out, and y'all, it looks like dirt. It just looks like dirt. Nothing crazy in there. It just looks like dirt. And it's still going. It's on the Vego setting, but hopefully it will be done here shortly. I really hate when I have to come into my dining room because I have horrible lighting in here, but that's it. the potatoes are done. Thanks for hanging out with me and letting me just have a chat with you while I'm going through a few things in the home when the weather's not that nice outside. If you enjoyed the video, consider subscribing to my channel, consider giving me thumbs up, hearts, all of those good things, and share and turn on notifications. So until next time, and I hope there will be a next time that you decide to hang out with me, Kim, at Kim's Cozy Corner. I hope to see you again real soon. Bye.